My significant other was running a double life. I thought I knew Jake better than anyone after 3 years together. We lived in this tiny apartment above his grandma's garage, and every night he'd come home from his marketing job looking exhausted. He'd kiss me on the forehead, grab a beer, and fall asleep watching Netflix by 9. I should have noticed the weird stuff earlier, like how he always showered the second he got home, or how his work clothes never really smelled like an office. They smelled like grease and something else I couldn't place. When I asked about his coworkers, he'd give me these vague answers like, oh, you know, just the usual office drama, and change the subject. The first real red flag was when I decided to surprise him at work for his birthday. I'd made his favorite cookies and wanted to bring them to his office. Problem was, I realized I'd never actually been to his workplace. When I asked for the address, he got all weird and said they had a strict no visitors policy because of confidential client information. That weekend, his phone kept buzzing while he was in the shower. I wasn't trying to snoop, but the notifications kept lighting up the screen. There were texts from someone named Rico saying stuff like, tomorrow's delivery is bigger than usual, and make sure you're there by 5 a.m. sharp. When Jake came out, I casually asked who Rico was. He said it was just some guy from work and that they sometimes had early morning meetings. But here's where it gets weird. Jake supposedly worked a standard 9 to 5, so why would he need to be somewhere at 5 a.m.? I started paying more attention. He'd leave at 4:30 in the morning some days, wearing these old jeans and work boots instead of his usual khakis. When I asked about it, he said he had to help set up for big presentations. The breaking point came when my friend Ashley saw him at the farmer's market on a Tuesday morning. She said he was unloading crates of vegetables from a truck and looked like he'd been working since dawn. When she waved at him, he pretended not to see her and quickly walked away. That night, when I asked how his day at the office was, he said it was just the usual boring meetings. I finally confronted him the next morning. I told him Ashley had seen him at the farmer's market and his face went completely white. He sat down on our couch and put his head in his hands. Then he told me everything. Jake had been working 2 jobs for the past year and a half. His marketing job was actually at a small family-owned organic farm about an hour outside town. He'd get up at 4 a.m. to help with the morning harvest, then rush home to shower and change before heading to his real office job that started at 10. He'd been doing this because he wanted to save money for an engagement ring, but he was embarrassed about working on a farm. The worst part was that he thought I'd think less of him for doing manual labor. He'd grown up poor, and his dad had always worked multiple jobs, and Jake was terrified I'd see him the same way his ex-girlfriend had. Apparently, she'd broken up with him in college because she said dating a farm boy was embarrassing. I started crying because I felt so stupid for not realizing how hard he'd been working for us. This whole time I thought he was cheating or dealing drugs or something, but he was literally killing himself working 2 jobs so he could propose. The Rico guy was the farm owner's son, and all those mysterious texts were about vegetable deliveries to local restaurants. We ended up driving out to the farm that weekend so I could meet his other coworkers. It was this beautiful little place with the most amazing tomatoes I'd ever tasted. Rico's family treated Jake like their own son, and I could see why he actually loved working there. The physical work kept him in great shape, and he knew everything about growing food sustainably. Jake proposed 3 months later with a ring he'd been saving for since before we even moved in together. We got married last spring, and guess what? We had our wedding reception at the farm. Rico's mom made all the food using vegetables Jake had helped grow. It was perfect.